How did you find out someone had a crush on you?
Was leaving school one day and my small group of friends were hugging and saying bye when this girl that I was into but didn't know if she was into me raised her arms up and says, "What about me?" It was the best hug I've ever had. That was in 2005, we've been together ever since.
Had a girl keep banging my leg under the table at a young street Swiss chalet in the fall of '91. I just thought our group was too tight together and she needed space. Turns out I'm just a clueless idiot. We've been together since April of '92, so luckily she was persistent.
I was due in a couple weeks to move halfway across the country for my job, so I was hanging out with a local friend to say goodbye. That night I admitted I would have asked her out if I wasn't moving so far away. There was a moment of silence and she responded with, "Yeah, I probably would have said yes, you're quite the catch." Later that night we're lying on her bed watching anime. She gets up to use the bathroom, so I stretch my arms out. She comes back, sees me stretched out, says, "Ooh, an arm," and cuddles right up to me. "We're dating now, smiley face.
I once had a girl introduce me to her friend like this. "This is Tim. I have a huge crush on him, but he hasn't figured it out yet." I guess she'd gotten tired of waiting for me to figure it out, lol.
Hi Tim, I hope you figure out she has a huge crush on you soon.
When I was about 10, this girl in my class had a crush on me. She made it obvious, but I wasn't interested at the time. After school we never saw each other for a few years, then at 18 she apparently still had a crush on me. We've been married 18 years now. Edit. Thanks for the awards.
It's always rough when someone has a crush on you when you're young because it's a hard thing to process. For me, when it happened, I didn't like it because I always kept thinking, I don't want to be a dad yet, when I was like 12. Everything always felt so final.
Totally. That's why I dealt with it by not dealing with it. Mind, I'm pleased the way things worked out. I have a feeling that if we had had one of those young relationships, then we probably wouldn't have got together years later.
When they broke things off with their fiancé because they had feelings for me, I was horrified.
I mean, I understand why you were horrified, but props to them not keeping that hidden and ending up getting married when they probably wouldn't.
I opened my high school yearbook from my sophomore year and found a message from a friend that we should hang out together and included her phone number. I only found it 18 years later and I feel horrible that I didn't see it because it probably made me look like an ass and hurt her feelings.
Call it TBH, there's like a 50-50 poo she still has it.
The day after she went back to France, after being here for 8 months, my coworker was like, "Well, now that she is gone, I can tell you she had a massive crush on you." Still devastated to this day, I never picked up on it.
Poo coworker right there.
I was good friends with my crush. One night while texting he says, "We aren't just friends, right?" And that was the first time I realized even he has a thing for me and I wasn't just imagining the sparks between us. He was my first boyfriend. I don't think I'd have a relationship as healthy as that one.
Why didn't it work out?
My mental health was going bad and I had gotten very dependent on him. Meanwhile, we were also long distance. So we took a break, during which he met someone who was way healthier than me and made him happy. I had to let him go for both of our sakes. We were together for almost 5 years.
They waited until they no longer had a crush on me and then told me that they used to have a crush on me.
Sometimes people just say that to cover for the fact that they still have a crush on you.
Usually they tell me like 20 years later, which helped teenage me immensely. Edit. F me, this comment blew up. Anyway, a hearty thank you all of you who said that they too have crushes me in a side-eye, weirded out but still a bit flattered look to all of you who are willing to fight for me. Not just normal fights either, to the death fights. The best kind.
I have a crush on you.
She offered to carry my jacket to the next class when I had to stop at the bathroom. Went to the next class and it was placed on the chair next to her and her best friend said, "Your boyfriend is here." I was young and shy. Did nothing. Regretted it. She was amazing. I was honestly just happy being her friend.
She literally stopped me as I was passing by with my friends and asked me if I remember us looking at each other at McDonald's.
I need to know the whole story. What did you say, loudly crying?
Asked her out, she accepted and then told me she had a crush on me for some time. Sometimes you just got to go for it. You lose some, you win some.
You win some, you lose most. Applies to life in general.
A girl from one of my courses asked me if I wanted to bake cookies with her. I a professional dumbass, was like, sure, I like cookies. A friend informed me that I had just agreed to a date. It was okay. The cookies were pretty good.
That's adorable.
We had a lockdown drill and at the time, I was in Spanish with one of her best friends. So she, very carefully and deliberately, crawls over to me from the other side of the room. She's 15, 6 feet 2, and just army crawling her way across the room towards me. Literally everyone in the class, including the teacher, is just staring at this girl. Let's call her Maria. I'm sure if the teacher had a second to prepare, she would have told Maria not to do this. But, again, this is a big girl just army crawling her way across the floor. No one woke up and thought this would be what they would see that day. So, she gets across the room and just sits up next to me and greets me. She makes small talk, which is normal because we're kind of friends too, because we've hung out in groups before outside of school and we're also part of an after-school thing. So far, the army crawling is the only abnormal thing to happen here. Suddenly, she asks me, so is there anyone you like? And at the time, I did kind of like this one girl, that we'll call Elizabeth, but she's part of the group and the after-school thing and her best friend and we're all about 15 to 16, so I didn't want to say her name, so I just said, yay. Is it Elizabeth? You should also her out. But what if she? Ogre, she won't ogre. Maria had a very serious look on her face and being like, half her size, I was briefly scared for my safety because she also said this with a lot of authority. As it turns out, Elizabeth had a crush on me for weeks and just constantly talked about me to her friends, who'd repeatedly tell her to just ask me out but that she was too scared to make the first move and they were all sick and tired of hearing about me. So, yeah, that's how I found out that Elizabeth had a crush on me. Asked her a few days later, because I was AP and was too scared to ask her out that same day or any of the other days I saw her, and we dated for the next approximately 10 months or so. She was actually my first real girlfriend and is still one of my longest relationships to date.
Every friend group needs a Maria.
I was on a skating rink and there were a couple of girls hanging out by the benches and one of them screams to me as I roll by that the other one likes me. I didn't react to it to save the girl any more embarrassment as she was practically hiding.
IDK bro, you're supposed to go up to make her feel embarrassed.
Woke up to her cuddling with me after a house party. Edit, we're friends of 10 years or more, drunk at a house party. She found me asleep and didn't want to risk driving, so she did the only thing she could think of. We were together for 3 years after that party, still friends too. Edit 2, imagine if roles were reversed. Oh, how edgy of you to think of something so original, face with rolling eyes.
Yeah, that still wouldn't have made me sure she liked me.
I'm awkward AF, so I definitely asked why she was big spooning me and why she's still there.
She left her phone number on my car windshield randomly. My wife didn't find it very amusing.
This is how I met my wife. She was a bold one. When I added her as friend on Facebook, her first message was finally.
Damn, I would like someone with that enthusiasm.
My crush told our mutual friend to tell me to ask her out. I proceeded to get rejected over text when I asked her to a date.
She was a colleague who had heard I was leaving town. I wasn't, only going to be away for 2 weeks, and she took her chance by kissing me after we bumped into each other at a nightclub. It was a rare night off work for me. It's now 16 years and 3 kids later, so it worked out well for the both for us.
Dang, drunk or just really confident?
She was slightly drunk and thought, what the hell, he's leaving, so if I don't go for it I'll never know. She took the gamble on the basis that had I not been into her she wouldn't have to see me again.
We were really drunk and just talking crap when he said, God, I had such a crush on you growing up. And I replied with, what the poo? I had a crush on you. Nothing else came of it, but I realized that I really don't know when someone is interested. I just assume I'm seen as a friend.
I was pretty sure my friend's little sister had a crush on me when she started following me around like a lost puppy. Then she randomly started calling me by my first and middle name. Then she found out my birthday from someone and started telling me our age difference. It was kind of cute until she decided she should tell her friends that we were dating. We were not dating. I had a nice conversation with her letting her know that her crush was flattering, but she was way too young for me and that she needed to stop telling people that we were dating since it was not true and could get me in a lot of trouble. In true typical teenager logic, she said that her parents wouldn't have a problem with it and I could date her if I wanted to.
I had a 9-year-old neighbor's daughter just randomly out of the blue tackle hug me from behind and absolutely refused to let go. Your post reminded me of that lol. Her family was over and we were all just hanging out and chatting, and she was off quietly playing when I laughed at something, and out of nowhere, she ran at me. Everyone else could see her but me, and I didn't know what was happening until the whomp and squeeze. Her mom burst out laughing. The girl was giggling and squeezing as tight as she could, burying her face into my back. She was literally half as tall as me and on her tiptoes to hang on to my waist. I had to spin around, look down to see her hands, then pry them apart and pretend to dance step her away from me. My attempt at trying not to embarrass her, as I had never met her before, and to avoid getting grabbed onto again until her mom finally grabbed a hold of her. Got eyes in the back of my head now.
Back in 10th grade, I've been finding letters in my locker. There is a slit where anyone can put anything as long as it fits, for a month. Then one afternoon, I was really bored because it's a math class. I went to the washroom and there I found her, red-handed. She eventually found out that I knew that it was her, and we've been together for 2 years now.
I briefly danced with a girl at OHS dance, before she told me one song was enough and went to the restroom. A few weeks later, a mutual friend asked what I thought about her. I said that she was nice and cute, but she was obviously not into based on the dance. He told me to give it another shot. I asked her out later that day and we ended up dating for about a year.
Did you ever ask why she ran to the restroom after one dance?
She came to school with her whole arm scarred with my name and a love heart, hadn't cleaned the blood so was fairly fresh. She told me she did it with a knife and wanted me to do the same. She was very quickly expelled after that, and I learned a valuable lesson that girls can be crazy.
In Minecraft, with a book and quill.
When I was in 7th grade, a boy wrote me the sweetest poem. I have it saved somewhere still. I still remember the line, "I'll take you to the movies, or even to the mall, even though I'm short, and even though you're tall. Mike, wherever you are, I hope you're happy and have the best woman ever." Edit. Or, thanks everyone. Alas, we did not date. But this is because I was 12 and wasn't allowed. But I remember this poem, and it's been over 30 years. I am mother to a short king myself, and I hope he's as great as Mike the poet. Kind-hearted and romantic is a winning combination by anyone's standards.
So then Mike got rejected? I talked to her at an ice cream shop. She was working behind the counter. First time meeting her and thought she was way out of my league. Had to be the prettiest girl I've ever seen. Red hair and blue eyes. No one else was there and she was recommending different things. Got my ice cream and left. I noticed her smiling a lot at me, which I was never used to. I've never thought myself to be attractive and I didn't date growing up. Came back a few days later and just decided to ask her out randomly to my friend's party. She actually gave me her number and we met up before the party at the park. Ended up getting dinner and going to the movies after. It was a very long first date, but we didn't seem to want it to end. 9 years later we are married and our baby just turned 1 year old. You never know till you ask. Lol. I remember in middle school getting a note in my locker that only said, "Would you like to go out?" I saw it and was very confused. Like weeks later, this random guy from one of my classes came up to me and asked if I had an answer to his note. There was no name on the note, and looking back he must have been more nervous, but I barely knew him and I just said, "No, sorry," and kinda bowed my head a little and walked away as quick as possible.
Oh, the stupid poo we do when we are young.
The same way any man learns. Her saying, "Hey, dummy, I like you. When are you going to ask me out on a date?"
When she's resting her head on your shoulder and you say, "If you're tired I can let you sleep in my bed and I'll sleep on the couch." And she says, "God, you're so effing dense." Cold sweat, smile, tears of joy.
She sent me an email with peer-graphic photos with our heads pasted on them. She had been an internet friend that I had no romantic interest in and never flirted with. She never flirted with me either, so far as I could tell. We had talked for about 3 years, almost daily, but always platonic stuff. She was quite a bit older than me, and while I never told her this, I looked at her more like a fun aunt. I got a girlfriend, and when I told my friend about it, she absolutely flipped out. Cussed me up one side and down the other. Told me I had broken her heart. On and on and on. I was stunned. I apologized and told her I had just seen us as friends and hadn't meant to make her think it was anything more than that. That's when the P photos started showing up. And creepy, this could have been us messages. I blocked her on everything, which was like 2 things because this was 20 years ago. About a year ago I got curious and looked up her name. She ran for and won a small government position in her hometown about 3 years back. Found some newspaper articles and discovered a few things. 1. She had been married for 30 years. She had claimed to be single when we talked. 2. I had been 19 when we started talking. She had claimed to be 30. She had actually been 42. 3. She had kids that are older than me.
Oh. So this asterisk is the kind of person I was warned about when using the internet in the early 2000s. It was weird. I asked her out and she said she was a lesbian and I was crushed, but I respected it. Found out later from a mutual friend that she was lying, actually liked me too, and she quote said, "It wasn't in the plan for me to ask her yet." The mutual friend essentially said, "Dodge that bullet, while you still have a chance." Edit. For those who have been asking, this was in first year of university. I saw her around campus fairly regularly after that and she never approached me about it, and the mutual friend had a massive falling out with her for some reason or another, and then we grew apart as the years went on. Very anticlimactic, I know, but what are you going to do? Edit 2. My problem with it was indeed the lying right from the start, no matter what plan she had. I did question said mutual friend to give her the benefit of the doubt regarding her sexuality. It can be complicated, but they were very insistent and I had no reason to doubt the mutual as they had never lied to me before, or after.
Yeah, don't date her.
I realized she sent me nudes because she wanted me to see her naked, not because she wanted to discuss photography. I found this out 15 years later. Edit. I had it confirmed when we were speaking about our friendship.
Wow, out of all the stories about men being clueless to signs, this is one of the worst. Or best.
The worst. She was gorgeous. This isn't my only example though, but it's definitely one that stands out. Mainly because we had the discussion fairly recently.
I used to work in a call center, hell on earth, do not recommend, which had those old high-walled cubicles in which you could isolate yourself if you lean forward enough, and not see anything around you. One day I am on a call and I am super focused, leaning forward, staring at my screen, you get the picture. Now at the time I had really long hair, waist-length-ish, so I was pretty used to it getting caught in stuff. As I am chatting away I feel as though my hair is being tugged very lightly. No biggie, it happens often, and because of the walls of my cubicle I can't really see anything in my peripherals. After a while the sensation grows and starts to become distracting, so I glance over my shoulder, and what do I see? My good friend and co-worker, or so I thought, sniffing, kissing a lock of my hair. I was so stunned I couldn't even react. This mofo was in full weeb mode. It was exactly like something you'd see in an anime. I don't know how to explain this more accurately. Long story short, he confessed during lunch break, I rejected him, and he went on a nice guys rampage for the next 6 months that I remained in the company. I still feel icky remembering this.
She called me and asked why I had never asked her out on a date. She knew I was interested because I had told some friends that I was and they had told her. The reason I hadn't is because her brother and I were friends before I met her. When she called I told her I'd be thrilled to take her out, but I wanted to make sure it was cool with her brother first. He was cool with it and we've been together 18 years now. Dating a friend's sister could have turned out bad though, TBH.
The old asking her brother if it's okay to bang his sister.
It was an awkward conversation for sure. He said he didn't care if I took her out, just to treat her right.
I was giving him a ride home from a work function and he jokingly brought up that our boss had mentioned the policy on coworkers dating because we came to the event together, but he thought he didn't have a chance in hell with me. His words. So that policy didn't matter. Well, I also had a crush on him, so it mattered very much. LMFAO. We're married now.
That's kinda cute winking face. I saw the prophecies in the flames.
I had to be told due to my inability to pick up on any sign, signal, whatever. I had absolutely no idea that she liked me. Way too much risk when you read it wrong.
My now husband and I were long-distance acquaintances at the time. He liked or commented on almost every social media post I had, sends me memes or a link to a song he likes, waits for about half an hour before dropping a hi every time I come online. He told me he did this so he won't come off as stalkery. And unless he was super busy, never was the first to end a chat. This went on for 8 months before he finally said out loud he had a crush on me. I thought he was just being a chatty nerd like me. Edit. Spelling.
We'd both had a crush on each other for 8 years. One day we were messaging and started sending random emojis, that then got sexual. She asked if we're still joking, which is when we both realized we weren't and that we should have started dating 8 years ago. Tears of joy. So now we are.
And then you heard your alarm.
Temp who worked with my team. I was a team supervisor, manager in hospitality, who was kind of cute, cyan and magenta dyed hair, and was really into crycore, and of course my first interaction was to give her the piss like the boys. Would claim many nights at work I was flirting with her, and I would always tell her I admired her confidence, but had zero interest since I was with my soon-to-be fiancé at the time, and she was weird. Every night she worked with a different team. She would ask if I would be working with her and if I was even on property so we could talk, as told to me by the other team leadership. Turns out she had a massive crush on me, tried to track me down via social media but couldn't find me since at the time I was using a nickname at work since I have a very common name, and I learned all this when seeing her recently at a music shop, called me out for all that, in front of my now wife.
Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.